Hello everyone. In this video we are going to talk about another Alpine component named xShow. So basically the xShow is used to display or hide any element inside an Alpine component. So let's see with a practical example. So let's create a div and make this Alpine component by using the xData. Now as we have said in the previous video, we can give the variable whatever value we want. It can be string or it can also be a boolean like true and false. Let's give it a value of false. And if you want to use true or false, as this is a boolean value, we don't need to use quotation. The quotation are for only strings, nothing else. So inside it, let's use a paragraph tag and display some text like display this text if the show is true. So if the value of show is true, we want to show this paragraph tag, but otherwise if it is false, we want to hide it. So how we can do that? Well, we are going to use the x-show. So this is the Alpine directive we have been talking about. We can actually use like true, and this is going to output the value. We can use false and this is going to disappear. So that means whatever we are going to put inside this quotation, if it is false, it is going to be hidden, and if this is true, it is going to be displayed. Okay, so in this case the show got a value of false. So if you just use show here, it will get a value of false and this will be hidden. But if we make it true, like in here, so now this condition is going to be true. Inside the xShow, it is going to display. Okay, this is an example, but let's talk about another one. Let's say you want to display something if the value of the show is true, and you want to display another thing if the value of the show is false. And how we can do that? Okay, let's see. I'm just going to copy the previous example and paste it in here. Let's just copy this. We can do that in VS Code by pressing Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V. Now the first one will be displayed if the show is true, and if the show is false, we want to display the second one. Now they are going to display both of these because show is true now. At first let's make it false. So now the first one is hidden because the both of these are hidden because now the show is false, so this is not going to display it. So let's say we want to display the second text if the show is false. We can do it this way, like if the show is equal to false, that means this condition is kind of true, right? Because the show got a value of false, and now we are going to actually use this as a condition. So if the show is equal to false, and in JavaScript the equal sign will be double equal. If the value of the show is false, then this is going to return as true. That means the paragraph tag will be displayed. So if we save this, this is going to be visible, but this is actually kind of overkill. We don't actually need to do that. In JavaScript we can easily do that by using a not operator. So not show. So now if the value of the show is false, that means it is currently saying that not false, that means it's true. So it is going to return as true and display it. So this is how we are going to display something if you want to display it if the value of that variable is false or something like that, or in this kind of situations. We are going to see more of this type of examples in the future, in especially in the project section. Now let's talk about the xOn directive of Alpine. So xOn is used to listen to an event in Alpine, like whenever you are going to click on an web page or a button maybe, or you are going to press a button on your keyboard like enter or anything, or you can either going to submit a form. So this is the events in a web page. So if we are going to listen to the events and do something, do any type of actions based on that events, we are going to use the xOn. So let's see. So I'm just going to grab the first one from here and paste it. Let's just comment other things out. Okay, so let's make it false. Now this is false, so this is not going to display it. But let's say we want to add a button, and if we are going to click that button, it will make the value of the show to true. We can actually do that pretty easily by using Alpine. Let's create a button first and let's make it show. So what we want here is we are going to click this button and that will make the value here true. So for that we are going to use the x-on directive. Now we need to put a colon in here, then the event we are going to listen to. So in this case the event will be click. So when someone will click this button, something will happen, right? So let's type click and then equal sign and the clone. Now what we want here is to make the value of the show equal to true. So whenever we are going to click here on this button, this is going to make the value of the show to true, and it will change the value in here. That means it will return true and this is going to be displayed. Let's save and click the show button and this is going to display it. Let's say we want a toggle button. So if we click it repeatedly, this is going to hide and show. So how we can do that? This is actually the same in here. We have already learned about that. So let's change the button to toggle. So we want to toggle the visibility, but now if we click it, this is going to be true, then nothing's happened, right? So what we want here is we have kind of displayed it in here. So now we want the value of the show to be the opposite of the value that it already has. Now the value of the show is false, so we are going to make it the opposite value. But in this case the boolean got only two values, like true and false. So if it is not false, then it will be true, and if it is not true, then it will be false. So we are going to use the not sign and show. So now in this case the value is false now, so it will make it true. The next time we are going to click it, it will be false from true, just the opposite. So let's see, let's click the toggle and this is going to be true and this is going to display. But if we click again, this is going to again become false and hide. Okay, we can actually execute any type of custom JavaScript function based on the event. Okay, so let's say we want to show an alert message or any increment decrement, we can also do that based on the click event. So let's do that. Let's create a div and we are going to make it a Alpine component by just putting a x data. We are not actually going to put any data in here, we don't need any for now. Let's use a button and let's say we want to show an alert message in our web page whenever we are going to click this button. So this is our button and let's just comment these two out. So we are going to listen to an event. So x on, let's say click, and we want to use the alert. Let's say the button has been clicked. Let's save, and if we click the alert button, this is going to run as a JavaScript. So let's see. As you can see, the alert has shown up. We can do other type of things. We can run any functions like any JavaScript function. Let's see it by using a small example. Like let's create a div and declare it as an Alpine component by using the x data. Let's create a variable named number Okay, inside the number, let's give it a value of 0. We can give it whatever value you want, it's just for demonstration purpose. Let's create two different type of button, one for increment and another one for the decrement. Let's create another one, it will be for the decrement. Let's save. Now we got two different type of buttons. I'm just going to comment the first one out, which is for the alert message. We don't need that. I also want to display the number in here, so let's use the X text and number. Now as the number got a value of 0, this is going to show 0, but let's say we want to increment the number whenever we are going to click the increment button, and we are going to decrement it when we are going to click the decrement button. So the event here is click. So whenever we are going to click the button, something will happen. So what we want here is we are going to add on with the previous value of the number. So what we can do, we can use number is equal to number plus on. Now if we click it, this is going to increment. Also in JavaScript, you actually don't need to type all this out. There is an easy method for that. You can just use number plus plus and it is going to add on with that. And the same thing goes for the decrement as well. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it, but in this case we want to decrement by on. So double minus, let's save, and if we click it, this is going to increase, and if we click the decrement, the value will be decreased by on, and after passing 0 it will go to the minus value. Now this will be a perfect time to show some example or practical use of the X show we have talked about before. So let's say when the number hits 0, we want to make the decrement button hidden. So we don't want to show the decrement button anymore. So we can use the X show for that. So X show, now we got the value of the number from here, and we are going to use it as an condition. So if the value of the number is more than 0, then it will return as true and the decrement button will be visible. But when the number will become less than 0, like -1, -2, it will return as a false, then it will be hidden. Let's save. Now the value is 0 and it is hidden. Let's press increment and it shows up again. If we goes to 0, it got hidden. So these are the kind of cases where we are going to use the X show, and in the projects section we are going to use X show for this type of things. So this is it for this video. See you in the next one.